Good morning, students. Today's question is very important. This is actually a question from the topic of initial problems of Pakistan. So whenever you are required to give your opinion about any one of the problem that is actually amongst the initial problems of the Pakistan, that either the problem is the most important one or not. As you know, the initial problems faced by the government of the Pakistan in 1947 were refugee problem, distribution of the assets including military and financial assets, Canal Water Dispute, formation of the government, management problems, industrial problems, because there was no industry at the time of the formation of the Pakistan. So whenever you are asked either one of the initial problems is the most important problem or not, then the method to handle this kind of question is, first you have to give your judgment. Either you are agree or not agree, and then discuss all the problems one by one in detail. And at the end, you will have to give your verdict. Which one is the most important problem? So this is the method to handle this kind of question. Now, concentrate yourself. We are going to read a very important question. This is one of the initial problems faced by the Pakistani government in 1947. So the question is, the Canal Water Dispute was the most important problem facing the newly established government of Pakistan in 1947. Do you agree or disagree? Give reasons for your answer. So the method to handle this kind of question and to get A grade is, full description of all important problems facing the country in 1947 is needed to be described. A judgment is to be given about the importance of the Canal Water Dispute in the end. So we are giving our judgment in the beginning. So the judgment is, I disagree, as the Canal Water Dispute was an important problem for the newly born state of Pakistan, but not the most important one. So this is the judgment. And now we will discuss all the initial problems faced by the Pakistani government in 1947 one by one in detail. And at the end, we will give our verdict, which one is the most important problem. So now we are going to discuss all the problems. The first problem is, in 1947, tension between Hindus and Muslims increased as the partition date was coming closer. Communal riots had started in many cities of the East Punjab several months before the creation of the Pakistan. This resulted in large-scale transfer of the population. But worst affected areas were the non-Muslim states of Eastern Punjab and the districts of Gurdaspur, Jalandhar and Firozpur. These districts had Muslim majority populations but were unjustly given to India under the Radcliffe Award. Large-scale massacre of Muslims took place in planned manner in these districts by militant Sikhs and Hindus mobs who were helped by the army and the police of the 6 states. Muslims were forced to leave their homes and they moved toward Pakistan in large caravans. It was estimated that about 1 million died and 20 million were rendered homeless as a result of the partition. Soon after partition in September-October 1947, severe anti-Muslim riots occurred in Delhi, Meerut and its surrounding districts, and Muslims fled to Pakistan. This created grave refugee problem for Pakistan. Most of them concentrated in the big cities of Pakistan. But immediately after partition, there were several other more pressing and important problems that Pakistan had to face. For example, setting up a formation of the central government, which did not exist at that time. Canal Water Dispute was another very important problem. Division of the financial and military assets with India, and the issue of the accession of the states Junagadh, Hyderabad and Kashmir were difficult problems at that time. So these were the problems other than the refugee problem which the government was facing at that time. Our leaders first attended to the urgent problem of setting up of central government. Karachi was chosen as the capital of Pakistan. A federal cabinet of 6 ministers were formed to run the country with Liaquat Ali Khan as Prime Minister. Mr. Jinnah became the Governor General, setting up the ministerial offices, and the Secretariat got the top priority. So this was the most important problem at that time to form the government. Offices of the central government were housed in old army barracks and in hired private residential buildings. There was no office equipment, no records, and above all, there was an acute shortage of the properly trained office workers for the central government departments. Government office workers had to live in the tents for many months because of the shortage of the living accommodation. It was indeed the most pressing problem. So this was the most important problem. However, under the guidance of the Quaid-e-Azam and with courage and confidence, the difficulties were overcome and Government of Pakistan started functioning smoothly. Another problem was at that time the canal water problem. Started in April 1948 when India discontinued the supply of the irrigation water in those canals which entered Pakistan from India's side, because their headworks were located in India. It was a serious problem since India now controlled the water supply to Pakistan. Tension rose between the two countries because Pakistan had to depend upon India for its water supply. It was a deliberate attempt by India to strangle Pakistan's economy because it affected the large parts of the southern Punjab. The supply of the water was resumed after lengthy negotiations with India, and Pakistan had to pay heavy amount of money to India for irrigation water. The problem was resolved much later with the intervention of the World Bank when Indus Water Treaty was signed between the two countries. Indian Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru and Pakistani President Ayub Khan signed the treaty on September 19, 1960 in Karachi. Another problem at that time was division of the financial and other assets presented great economic difficulty because Indian government withheld the payment of the Pakistan's share of 750 million rupees. The central government of the Pakistan had no money to meet her expenses. India released rupees 500 million and rupees 200 million with great difficulty and delay, while rupees 50 million were never paid at all. Another very important problem at that time was, one of the important problems faced by Pakistan at the time of its emergence was the division of the armed forces and military assets. The division of the army was not much of the problem. The Muslim soldiers opted for Pakistan, while Hindus and Sikh soldiers opted for India. But there was a great shortage of army officers because the number of the Muslim army officers in British Indian Army was very small. India was very unfair in the division of the army equipment and supplies. Military equipment which was sent to Pakistan consisted of old and unusable machinery, and division was made at the ratio of 36:64. Out of 16 ordnance factories of undivided India, none was given to Pakistan. Field Marshal Enchin Legg, who supervised the division of the assets, resigned before completing the job. Pakistan could not get its rightful share, and division of the assets proved to be a problem for Pakistan. A settlement was reached and rupees 60 million was later given to Pakistan in lieu of Pakistan's share of ordnance factories. Pakistan had to suffer a great loss and had to start from a scratch. Accession of the three princely states proved to be a difficult and serious problem for the Pakistan. So this is the next problem. Accession of the three princely states proved to be a difficult and serious problem for Pakistan. The ruler of the Junagadh state acceded to Pakistan, but India sent her army and occupied the state. Hyderabad state wanted to remain independent, but India annexed the state by using military force. The state of the Kashmir proved to be the greatest problem. India sent her forces to occupy this Muslim majority state. This problem still remains unsolved. Another problem was, at the time of its emergence, Pakistan was economically backward and underdeveloped. Agricultural production was low because of the outmoded methods of the cultivation. Pakistan felt food shortage and had to import food grains. Industries were almost non-existent in 1947, and Pakistan had to start from a scratch in the field of the industrial development. And now at the end, we are going to give our verdict according to us which one was the most important problem, and in reality it was the most important problem. So therefore it is correct to say that the formation of a government for the newly created country Pakistan was most important one. Without a proper government, Pakistan could not be recognized as a sovereign state internationally, nor could diplomatic relations with other countries be established. So this was the most important problem faced by the newly born Pakistan in 1947. The formation of the government was the most important problem. So Canal Water Dispute was a important problem, but not the most important. So this is very important question. Read this question again, make your notes. Thank you so much.